So I'm neither a speaker nor a talker, so I'm just going to get straight to it. Can I have the slides, please? Right, so for us, this phrase is always meant more about the process, like I think Kiran hinted. The end product of our work, the building is what it is. It is neither less nor more in my view. However, in our practice, we found that often when we focus on the process part of it. There, if you focus on very less things or small things, you tend to gain a lot, or you can reach somewhere where you may get more. So this is a small project, one of our projects I would like to share with you. This is a small clubhouse in Kolar in a golf course. This is about a 6,000 square feet building. The main purpose is like a seating lounge for about 70, 80 people. So the yellow part, yellow box there is the site. And all around, as you can see, is the golf course and beautiful views. So considering the location of this thing, these are the kind of views that you see from the site. So we thought it will be almost criminal to enclose any space at all. So we thought there was a kind of a fabric canopy over, and then we completely lost the walls. So it was just a deck kind of space. Okay. And since these are the kind of views that are available, so we decided, like I said, to drop the walls and have this light fabric roof. And so the only thing left was the floor. So the main design element became the floor, and what we were looking at was how to work with the floor to get something. So this is the plan of the area. The white portion is the deck, which is the seating area where all this bar, lounge, all those things, and the little cafeteria kind of a scenario. So when we looked at what kind of flooring should we do, so we decided on granite because we are in Karnataka and Kolar. This is the kind of thing that you see in Kolar. I mean, on the way to Kolar, in and around Kolar. So the stone seems to be so light and almost weightless. And in spite of being a very heavy material, so we wanted to try and get this quality of lightness, of that floating feeling, and that's the only thing we focused on that. So we started off with cutting some grooves in the granite and letting it flow. What we realized is that once we started doing that, we felt that we made some models and all to understand all how it was going on. And then we felt that the lines would make the stone flow too fast. So we had to kind of slow down the flow of the stone. For that, we then started cutting some jogs into it and varying the widths of these ribbons or the spacing between the grooves. So we ended up with something like this, which was more of a more gentler flow is what we were able to get with the stone. These are some pictures on site when we drew the lines on the floor and generally figure out. All the other joints disappeared once we did these larger grooves. So the second thing was, okay, so stone was kind of flowing, then we thought we'll just kind of detach it off the ground. Instead of embedding it into the grass, to lift it slightly, about 5 inches we lifted it up, and that had the effect of making the whole thing float over the grass. Then we decided to look at the one end of it at a different level. So some people would sit at a different level, and most of the people in the lower level. Can also be used as a performance space. So we lifted it up and tilted it and created it, so that made it all the more lighter. So we ended up with something like this. Well, here what first when we started doing this, then we realized that we should split the deck into two, so to make it even lighter. It became like a barrier at the end of it. So when we split and staggered it a little bit, we found that it had a much more delicate floating feeling. Then, of course, when we come to the steps leading up to it, the steps are always, obviously are perpendicular to the floor. So we decided to pull the steps out, rotate it, and turn it, and kind of pull in and out a couple of these steps to align it with the flow, and make, so that's what it looks like then. It became a very seamless, ribbon-like thing. We have the little trench of black granite where the sky is reflected in it, where the stone part of the deck lifts off and, then flattens out. So each of the stone, each of the steps, each of the strips started moving and then became steps at various points, at various widths. And it was only about a 800, 750 height difference we needed to get to. So 2, 3 steps were enough. So we were very happy with because in this entire project, what we looked at was the flooring. So there's nothing, there's no walls, and there is this canopy on top. So what we ended up with, when we focused on something which was very, very basic as what kind of flooring and what kind of material to use and how to use it, we felt that we ended up with something a lot more than we expected in the beginning. So like you can see, there are no walls. There's this fabric thing, and then there's a stone flooring. So one of the things that of course, when we took this deck, and then there are some locker rooms and certain other built structures there. So we took some of these lines and these angles and all that and applied it to the main building into some louvers and pergolas and things like that. So we ended up with something probably which Mies would, turn over in his grave, but we feel that we did a pretty good job, and by focusing on very, very small thing and allowing it to give you more. So all these words and stuff, right, at a certain point in my life, I used to think. Now I don't even think, actually. I just do stuff, and I focus on very, very small things and see where it takes me. So that's my story. Thank you.